Hey, out there in the digital world, this is Chisholm, aka Seaball, back for another installment. Just got back from the APA Nationals and wanted to give a couple of thoughts and antidotes, and then also uh, go over a shot that was a bit of a controversy and see what people's thoughts are on it. But first of all, fun event. Um, for those that play APA, maybe you've been out to nationals before. I have been out for teams. This is the first time I was out for the singles. Um, I qualified for it just before COVID hit, and so they didn't have it that year, and then this year, so it was like 2 years worth of qualifiers for the singles, and I qualified in 8-ball, and I was expecting good, obviously good players in the top division, whatever they call it, the black or purple, or I think it's the purple, um, and so it's all the sevens. I knew there'd be good players. I knew there's some players that it might be an easy draw here or there. I underestimated how strong that field would be when the cream of the crop rise to the top, and I mean really strong. I mean there were some guys there that are borderline pro players, and that was a whole different conversation whether these guys should be allowed to play in that. And then also I played in the 3-man Masters teams, and so for the singles, like I drew some guy from I can't remember. I think he was from Illinois, or maybe he was from Texas. I'm not sure, but anyway, his Fargo rate was like a 688, and he played like a 750 against me. Let's say he had one. It was a race to 5. He had a one run off of my dry break, and then he had 3 breaking runs. An APA would make you take it. That's even tougher. So I did a lot of watching that match, and then even in the mini tournaments, you get some easy draws and win a few, but then like a 16-person mini tournament, and then they were paying out the top 4. Yeah, so after you win a couple rounds, and then I just draw some guy that was just like that guy, just run out from everywhere. I'm like, who are these guys? And so anyway, that was good. The minis ran well. The last time I was there was before the day and age of apps and online stuff, so it was a little bit more of chaos signing up for the minis. This one they use CompuSport app, so it was smoother. You couldn't register more than 24 hours for an event, so basically what you had to do is if there was an event you wanted to play in, you just had to set your alarm. So if I knew I wanted to play at the 11 o'clock event on Tuesday and the 5 o'clock in the afternoon event on Tuesday, then I would set my alarm on Monday, go down there right at 11 o'clock on Monday to sign up in 24 hours in advance, and then set my alarm again to go back 5 o'clock that afternoon, go do it again. And so once you figured out that process, it was pretty smooth. At first it was like, you're sitting there trying to sign up on site, and you're looking on the board, and you're like, oh, there's only one spot left, and then you're standing in line, and all of a sudden it disappears because it fills, and you're like, what? But so anyway, once you kind of figured out the system, it was smooth. And let's see, yeah, the singles were tough. They had the one good thing about the singles was that the tables were open. Now for the mini tournaments and practice, you had to pay $1 a game to play. The other ones were open, but they were very strict on no practicing. Like I got one of my matches was over, and I was just hitting the remaining balls off the table, and ref just came up and started basically scolding me like I was his 6-year-old kid who had his hands in a cookie jar, and I had just lost, so I wasn't all in the best mood in the world, and so he was like, "You can't practice on these tables." I was like, "Why?" He was like, "This area, there's no practicing at all." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because there's no practicing in this area." And I went, "Why?" Yeah, I was being a smart ass, but I couldn't help it. Like all he had to do is say, "I don't know. It's just the rules that they make. I'm just enforcing them. You know, please don't practice in the area." I would have said, "Okay, fine." And instead, I just kept going, "Why?" And then I was gonna do it one more time, and he was really starting to get heated about it. And then I was like, oh, decided just to let it go. Figured it was probably would not have been the most admirable way or honorable to get kicked out and banned from the tournament. But anyway, so let's see. The Masters was fun. I played with, for those in Colorado, Mike Ellis and Tony Piazza, and it was fun playing with both those guys. We had a great time. Playing with Tony is just, you know, he's just on another level of pool, and it's playing with someone like that on the team, and I've done it in the past with other fantastic players, you know, top amateur level players, not just Colorado, but you know, countrywide, and it's a combination of inspiring and a little intimidating because you don't want to let that person down, and you have to remind yourself, okay, I am not as good as he is, and so I'm gonna make mistakes. But sometimes you find, like I played really well in the singles and the mini tournaments, and then when the team started, I was just tight, and I did not play as well, and then it kind of snowballed. It was frustrating, and then it kind of got in my head, but we managed. So we went along, and the APA is that modified single elimination, so you're guaranteed to play 2 matches, but then it turns into single elimination, which I don't really dig because it's not really fair. Like in the 3rd round, technically, the person or team that comes in 1st and 2nd could draw each other. Someone wins, and the other person comes through the loser side. Well, not in this format. They're just out, and that's not really fair to the 2nd best team. But it's the nature of the beast. So we lost our first match. Did we? I don't know. It's all a blur. But I just know that we won a bunch of matches on the loser side, and then we had a morning match. I'm kind of tooting my own horn here. My other 2 teammates had split sets, so it just came down to mine, and it was raced to 7, and I was down 6-2 against this guy who was playing well, you know. So we had we were had all the full body in the grave, not just a foot. It was the full body, just a little glimmer of hope. And somehow I won the last 5 games, so that was, and then we won. So that was really exciting. That's the best part about pool is teams and winning close matches, just to be a part of it. Not, you don't have to be the person who does it, just to be in that group, just the camaraderie and the energy that you feel as a team, like winning together and losing together because you're feeling the same pain. And then we played this team who was ridiculously good. They ended up winning the tournament. So we came in 9th out of 9th through whatever that tie is, 9th to 15th, but we'll just call it 9th. It sounds better. Out of like, I think there were about 350 teams. So it was a good showing. And the team we played, they were, I think all 3 of them were over 700s, and guy that I played, um, his name's B.J. Ursery, and he's from North Carolina. I guess he's well known and gambler and plays in pro events and stuff. And he had this, like, to win. Like, I'm playing against him, and he's it's 6-2, so he's on the hills, or 6-1 something, and we're playing 9-ball, and he gets on the 8, and he just, like, he could have drawn the cue ball out. Instead, he just rolls the cue ball in and leaves it, like, frozen on the rail with the 9 out in the middle of the table, where he has to jack up to shoot it to kind of stun it to keep from going in the side pocket. And as soon as he leaves himself that shot, I went, because I'm like, he did this intentionally, and there's a reason. He's going to nail this shot. And sure enough, he just speared it in. It would have gone in on a snooker pocket. And I was just like, good match, man. Like, oh, that's a different level. I mean, I would not, oh my gosh. It's impressive. It's impressive, but here's a clip. So we'll cut to the clip of that shot. Go. Yeah, so I don't know if he thought that was his best option to leave it, or if he was just showing off, or maybe he figured he would just save himself some mental anguish, and it was just easier just to slow roll that ball and just fire that ball in the corner. I don't know, but anyway, um, so now part to the controversy in the shot. So the match before that day, at night, we were playing this team, good team. Came down to Tony's match, and it came down to 9-ball, and I believe it was 6. I believe Tony had 6, so we needed one more game. This other guy was on 5, and they were playing this game back and forth, and we'll cut to the clip right now of the shot. Go. Okay, so we played a good safety, and he, the other guy flips out. Refs come over, but it's Tony's call because there was no ref watching the shot. Tony ends up winning, and then after the match, I'm talking to the guy, and he doesn't want to, he's so upset that I know that there's not going to be any rationalizing with him. So I was basically just quiet and soft and listening to him going, and then I was like, well, maybe this, when I'm thinking, oh man, it's this, because he's sitting there talking about, it's the physics, this game comes on or this shot comes up all the time, hit this shot all the time, it's the physics, and what I want to say is, I'm pretty sure you got that you shouldn't be throwing that word physics around, because the physics, I believe, is proving you wrong here. It's just happening faster than the naked eye. But so let's get closer here. So what we have the 13 frozen to that rail. This ball with the gap. I don't know how close that gap was, but we'll say it was like that. And so he's saying that the cue ball is hitting this ball, and then this is hitting the rail, and then hitting this ball and rolling like that. He's like, there's no way that that ball is coming off this rail, hitting this, coming back on this rail, and then going forward. It's because of it's on the rail. That's the physics. He's like, that's why. Let's set this up. And so he's sitting there going, whoops, this is not easy to do with me. Okay, like this. There we go. Now, see, the thing is, and this is one of the things that I learned from someone, Randy Getlicker, actually, from pool school. When he was talking about the physics of the game, and this makes complete sense. This ball, it's the same rule as like a double hit. How to tell that it's a double hit. We'll cover that first. So like, if this is, someone shoots this shot and they go like that, and they go, no, I just put a bunch of topspin on it. And I said, well, that's not true, because can you make that same thing happen from back here? Can you shoot that with topspin, make it hit this, and then make that ball go, like, make them chase each other like this? And and people say, well, I just put a bunch of topspin on the first shot. I'm like, well, so here's the thing. When these balls are not touching, they're two different masses. And this one doesn't move until this one touches it. And neither of these two masses know how far away they are from each other. They don't know if this thing is across the street and then rolls all the way here and hits it, or if it's starting from right here. All it knows is that this ball doesn't know anything until it gets touched by a moving mass, and then that energy makes that mass move. And this mass doesn't move until the tip hits it. So if you can't replicate it from this far away, that what you do here, then that means there's something different is happening, and that different is that it's double hitting, that the tip is hitting it, and it's coming to a stop, and then, or slow stop, and then hitting it forward. But it happens so fast, it happens faster than the naked eye. So back to this shot, you got, so if these two are like this, and if I roll this ball into here, and this ball is going to kind of chase the 8. Now, it went sideways because I'm not lining it up very well. We'll go like this. There we go. Like that. So now, this ball doesn't know how far away it is from that ball. So now you do this, and you go, hopefully it rolls in line with that ball. Well, see, I'm not hitting it straight. I apologize, I'm doing horrible at this demonstration. See how that came to a stop, and now this one went so much further? That was a perfect example. But when they're like this, see how they're both moving? The only way that's happening is if this ball is ricocheting into this, coming to a stop, and then
very quickly, now the rail is so close, it's going boom, boom, and then when it hits this rail, this ball is now gone. So now it's just going like that, and it rolls forward in that line, and that oops, that's in my book, that is proof that that is a good hit. Now, I did think of one other possible scenario, and I don't know how close these balls were to being set up, but this scenario, and it's just kind of theoretical because I don't know for sure, and that would be that if these two balls were so, I can't even get them as close as I want. If they were so close together, like just like the width of a hair, and now when you hit this ball, this ball compresses into the rail. See the rail compressing? And then when it comes out, no, I was going to say maybe the rail compresses and then comes out, so it's now bowed out for a second, so that technically this ball is now still touching the rail when it touches that, and in that case this ball never left the rail. Oh, and I guess I never explained this either. So in the rule, when you have a ball frozen to the rail, after contact, something else must hit a rail afterwards. And in this particular shot, like you saw in the video, after these two balls moved, nothing else went to a rail afterwards. A cue ball didn't. He drew it behind the 7 or the 8 or whatever ball that was. And then the other two balls didn't go fast enough and far enough to get to the other rail. So he was saying that no ball hit a rail after contact, when Tony's answer was that after contact, that ball then went back to the rail. And so there was no way of discussing this with that guy where he was going to think about the other solution. And the match was over and we had won, and so I was just like, okay. But I was curious because I wanted to listen to him, because I wanted to see if I was missing something, and I wanted him to set it up, and Tony handled it great. I mean, he didn't get angry about it. He was, during the whole thing, he was just like, well, this is the way it was. And he was just listening to the guy ramble. And then Tony was like, well, here's what happened. I did this. And then the guy would blah, 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 blah. And Tony, and Tony said afterwards, he was like, I wanted to hear the guy because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't thinking about it wrong. He was like, because I don't want to win by making a bad hit, when the guy should get ball in hand. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake, and I'm not trying to win by getting by on something that I should have been called on that I wasn't. He was like, but nothing about the conversation made it so that he was convinced that he did that he was wrong. It was just like, no, that has to be a double hit. And that's the thing, like when something happens faster than the naked eye, then you look at the results, and the results will prove what happened, just like in the double hit thing. So if a ref had been watching that shot, it'd be very interesting to know how they would have called it. And it's my belief that it all depends on which ref was watching, because it's one thing, not necessarily APA refs, but just refs in general. They're not always all going to make the same call. It depends on either how they're trained, or maybe they forgot some of their training, or maybe even though they get trained one way to say, well, this is the physics of it, their brain says, well, no, I can see it with my eye. And this is what happened. I don't want to hear about the physics part. That there are people in that. That's human nature. You want to, it's hard to convince yourself that what you think is not what you see. And I don't know if I phrased that right, but you know what I mean. So I think I honestly give it 50-50. If a ref had been asked to watch that and it happened just the way it did so fast, I could see him going foul, no rail after contact. And maybe there can't be a rule written about it, because I was going to say maybe there was a rule written specifically for that situation, but there's not, because what if that ball was an inch away, where it would have been if the two balls were an inch away, then it would have been really easy to see if that ball went back to a rail or not. But anyway, that's kind of that was a really long-winded one. I might edit some of that out. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But feel free to comment and give your thoughts on that. And anyway, it was fun, and this is a big turn. This is the fastest turnaround I've ever had for national tournaments. Just got back, and in 2 weeks, head back for the BCA. I think this will be my 27th or 8th year in a row, and doing the full thing again. This is the one where after the singles, we had the teams going, and our team was clicking on all cylinders. Bob Keller came in third in the Masters. I won the fair match singles event, and Adam and Gage and John were just playing lights out. We were so looking forward to the team, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, and everyone's like, all right, you got to be out of the casino and home in 24 hours, or not home, just out of here. So, but that'll be the turnaround. I'll get some more video footage, and look forward to it. For the APA tournament, Vegas had implemented the mask thing again. Not just for the pool tournament, but for the whole city. It's a mask mandate. And they made it so that you didn't have to wear a mask while you were shooting. And then about halfway through the tournament, I guess the game, I don't know which board, I don't know if it was the city or the gaming department or something, came in and saw a bunch of people not wearing masks, and so they changed it, and you had to wear masks the whole time, which is not fun, especially if someone like me who wears glasses, because then the glasses are fogging up while I'm playing, and that's no fun. So you kind of like cheat and kind of bring it down over your nose and hope you don't have, some of the refs were really strict about it and some weren't. So I don't know what the regulations are going to be for the BCA tournament. I'll find out in about 2 weeks. All right, but it's fun to be back playing in nationals again after all these weird times we've had for these years. So, all right, you'll be good out there. See you.